Hello and welcome to 251, two pianists, 5 minutes, one subject. And today we're going to be talking about how to practice and how we practice. My name's Simon Whiteside.
And my name's Nick Tomlin, and this is 251. They say that practice makes perfect, but when I'm teaching my students, I tend to slightly change that and say that perfect practice makes perfect, because I think practicing is a skill that you have to develop, and I'm very aware of this as a teacher, really. I'm very aware that as one of the main things I'm doing when I'm teaching the piano is teaching my student how to practice, because you can spend hours and hours playing your instrument without really doing anything constructive and actually getting better. And I think that's kind of quite an interesting thing to think about, really.
Yeah, well, there's that old joke, isn't there, about someone walking down Fifth Avenue and they stop someone and say, do you know how I get to Carnegie Hall? And they say, yeah, practice, man. I think it's a long route to practice, and it's also, I think it comes down to, for me, it comes also down to the concept of, say, meditation practice. It's an ongoing process that you repeat and you examine each time you do it. Yeah, you examine, and there are quite a few books on it. There's quite a good Jamie Aebersold supplement book about how to practice. I can't remember who it's by now, but it gives you a lot of subjects you can think about and ways of strategies of getting better. But I agree. I think to practice the same thing over and over again is not practicing; it's repeating. And yes, it's fine. That thing will get ingrained, but it also will go stale.
Yeah. It's with my students, I always say it's kind of a balance between playing stuff that you enjoy, but then also pushing, just pushing at your limits of what you can do and your knowledge, and it's this kind of fine balance. And if you get it wrong, either you, like you say, you just end up playing stuff you can already play and you don't really improve, or you get so frustrated with trying to do stuff that I think it's a kind of interesting balance that you have to strike.
Well, there's an interesting area. It's a psychological, it's well-known psychological learning thing, which is you get to a plateau quite often, and you practice. Let's say you're wanting to learn how to do enclosures. You start out with, I don't know anything about this. You find out about it. You start applying it. You work out ways of practicing it. You practice it. It gets better. It starts going into your playing, and then after a while, you think, the last few months I've gone nowhere with this. Yeah. And that actually is a very important state to get into. There's a book by, I think it's Adam Phillips, called On Kissing, Tickling and Being Bored. Right. And he talks about the importance of being bored and feeling stuck and not knowing what to do next. Because that's when you do work out what to do next. Yeah. It does come eventually. So practice,
you have to experience that process. Yeah.
And you also have to have patience with something.
Definitely, I'd say that's one of the biggest things. Really, is being patient with yourself as well, and just kind of
So Nick, what are the 5 notes of C minor pentatonic?
The 5 notes of C minor pentatonic. I would say they are C, E flat, F, G, and B flat.
So at one point in time, you didn't know that.
No. In fact, I had to think about it quite hard then, to be honest.
Yeah. and I think some people would also say that it's something different. But I asked that because I wanted to throw something at you that made you think, which you probably don't ever think about when you're playing. No. You probably don't think, I'm going to play C minor pentatonic, and those are the notes I need to play. It's just in there. Yeah. And I think with practice, you have this thing about we end up not knowing what we know because we've learnt it. Yeah. And it's now part of our sort of daily tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at some point we didn't know what E major was in our musical history, and now we do. Anyway, time is running out once more. I'm Simon Whiteside. Goodbye.
And my name's Nick Tomlin. Goodbye.